Hello, I'm Juliana from Naturally Joyous, and today I'm sharing with you my 3 tips for healthy eating during quarantine. And we all know this is April, we're in the middle of this pandemic, and I've been hearing from so many people that they're struggling to eat healthy. People are gaining weight and they're moving less. So really, I thought, okay, this is a very needed topic. So let's talk about what can you do to being really understanding of the difficulties of accessing, groceries and fruit and fresh foods, and how can you eat healthy no matter the circumstances. I have been helping so many families right now transition from the traditional health eating program to almost like a quarantine health eating mode. And lots of the things we're going to talk about today are things that we've been working on together. Also, I just wanted to say, if you stick into the end, I'm going to share I'm working something really cool, and I will share with you how you can plan your entire menu for the week for healthy eating meals in under 30 minutes. So I'll share that at the end. Okay, so let's get to it. So tip number 1 is what I like to call meat on the side. And what I mean by that is, so if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're good. You don't have to worry about this tip. But if you do consume animal products, one, they're expensive. But two, it takes a lot of room in your freezer if you're trying to shop for groceries every couple of weeks to avoid being outside a lot, right? So with that in mind, what I wanted you to think is you don't need an 8 or 10 ounce piece of meat in your plate every single day to get enough protein for health. What if you were to shrink that down to 3 to 4 ounces, or replace in a recipe half of the meat with a vegetable protein, a plant-based protein, to really bring down your intake of meat, but also bring up your intake of vegetables, right? So an example of that I have done, there's a recipe for meatballs from scratch that I make that's gluten-free. And what I do is that I replace half of the ground meat with either quinoa or mung beans, which is really my favorite. And mung beans is this wonderful, I would say a little underutilized outside of some ethnic cultures. But I think it's a really underutilized bean out there that you can get in the dry sort of bean aisle, I guess, in the grocery store. And the recipe is available in my Instagram at naturally.joyous, but I'm going to link to the recipe below so you can just click on it and take a look. But it's replacing half of it with mung beans, split mung beans, which is a wonderful source of fiber and protein, plant-based protein. Okay, tip number 2, can you healthify pre-boxed foods? And what I mean by that is, let's just say you're now cooking for more people, you have kids from university staying with you, or extended family members that are quarantining together, and you feel you're like in the kitchen all day cooking meals for tons of people. Yes, you may decide to get some prepackaged things such as a burger patties or falafels or meatballs or whatever. So the concept here is, okay, if you were to rely on a little bit of help, say from a box of meatballs, how can you healthify it? So number 1, I recommend that look at the ingredients, right? And I'll continue to share information as time goes on how to properly read the label. But for the time being, the shorter the list, usually the better. Make sure that there's nothing sounds like really weird in there that you don't recognize. But if it's a pretty clean short ingredient label, select that brand. Then, sticking to the meatballs for the example here, how can you healthify it? So what I did as an experiment in my Instagram, and I'll link to that post as well. What I did was, okay, here are Swedish meatballs. I'm going to healthify it by putting 3 shades of green around it. So I did broccoli, I think it was peas, and avocados. So you're eating a variety of high fiber vegetables with lots of nutrients, and then you have, this prepackaged or pre-made meatball in the mixture there. I've done that with falafels as well. Very clean label falafels that we got at Costco, and then we did the same. We really healthify with a giant pile of vegetables on the side. So the concept here is, if you're buying something prepackaged, get as clean a label as you can, and then how can you healthify by putting a variety of vegetables around it. Okay. And tip number 3, which kind of helps on picking what vegetables are best, I want you to think of this, and this is a simple tip, but it's so powerful. So don't, let it think, oh, it's just like 2 or 3, that's fine. But it's to eat 2 to 3 colors of vegetables per plate of food. So maybe hard to do for breakfast, but if you're thinking of lunch and supper as your 2 main meals, that's perfect. And the reason why you would do that, one, variety is really good for promoting a very healthy gut microflora, but also very importantly, different colors of vegetables have different nutrients in them. So if you think of the white foods, say cauliflower, onions, and then you think of your red foods like tomatoes and peppers, purple foods like red onions, which are kind of purple too, or purple cabbage, things like that, that you're picking things from different color categories, you're getting a very different mixture of nutrients. So that is make that a must. Like if you look at your plate and it's all monotone, you need more color, right? And that's a good way to pick the various vegetables from different categories. Now, the one thing that I'll tell people, if you want to do different shades of green, that's totally fine. I find green to be a very important color right now. One, because it's very healing for the liver, and we really want to make sure that we're getting lots of liver supporting foods right now with everything going on. But also, leafy greens tend to be really high in B vitamins. And these are the vitamins, some of them, that get depleted during high periods of stress. So it's kind of nice to use food to replenish some of those foods. Now, the one quick thing I wanted to say in terms of produce is that the Environmental Working Group, which is a not-for-profit American organization doing amazing work for so many years, they release every year a list of pesticide-containing vegetables, which they call the Dirty Dozen, so the ones that have the most pesticides as in the process of how they're grown, and the Clean 15, which is the cleanest 15 produce out there, fruits and vegetables, that have the least amount of pesticides used to grow them. The cool thing about that is that they have recently released the updated 2020 list. So I'm going to link to the list below here. So all you can do is download the list. And I really recommend even like take a screenshot of your phone or save it somewhere, but have it with you so when you go shopping, then you know, okay, if I have access and the means to buy some organic vegetables and fruits, looking at the list, buy those from the Dirty Dozen. And then for things on the Clean 15, then, conventional, for the most part, should be fine. So, for example, apple, should you get a conventional or is it worth getting an organic apple? Because, you eat the skin, it's very soft skin and it's heavily sprayed, that type of thing. So I'm going to link it so that, one, we're not only, all the tips we talked about is ways to bring our intake of vegetables up. Let's bring more plant-based foods into your diet. Even if you're a meat eater, we're not saying, disregard that. Just make some space in a plate for more veggies. But also, let's focus on the veggies that have a lower pesticide content to them, so we're not, increasing that in the process. So those are the 3 tips for today. Now, I mentioned to you that at the end I would share how you can get access to this cool new thing I'm working on. So I'm doing a free webinar called Healthy Eating in Under 30 Minutes. And essentially what I'm teaching you is my entire process. I actually not holding anything back. I'm teaching my entire process of how to menu plan for the week in under 30 minutes. So I'll tell you the steps, the 3 steps, and once you build those steps, you can just go and repeat every week and kind of like crank up this entire healthy menu under 30 minutes. During the training at the very end, I will share how you can get access to my done for you weekly menu plan. So again, you can just like remake the recipes week after week, so you don't have to do a lot of thinking when it comes to planning your meals, and you can eat really healthy during quarantine and beyond when we go back to our very busy lives. So I will link to the webinar down below, and you can watch it at your own time and pace. And I hope you enjoy the tips. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell next to it so that you don't miss an episode. I post new content every week and look forward to sharing something new with you next week. Bye.